Okay. All right, welcome back to the CTJ podcast show. I am one of your three hosts, which we actually have all three of us here today.
Back from Japan. Bouncing baby.
I'm Chris. We have Jake.
Hi.
He was here last time, unfortunately. And then we have back for the first time.
Back for the first time. Because that makes sense.
Yeah. Thomas. Thomas, back from Japan. How was it?
Oh, it was definitely fun. I got to tell you, there's so much to see. If you guys ever get the chance to go to Japan, you guys absolutely have to. So
you go to Japan a lot, though.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, though, it's some of the things you see, there's not much you're going to come home with and not go, wow. You're going to bring back nothing more than just memories with you.
Like a podcast trip.
We do.
To
I
Japan.
think we should.
Before we get into any of that fun stuff, we do want to kind of introduce our fans to Thomas. So go ahead, Thomas. Just kind of, this is your arc story. So you go ahead and just give your gaming background. That way everyone kind of knows who you are.
Yeah. Actually, originally, I never really played much video games when I was younger. My dad was not a very big fan of it. However, as I got a little bit older, my mom did allow me to play games. And the more and more I played those games, the more and more I got into it. And at this point now, I've probably been playing games about 20 years. And I will probably continue playing till the day I die. I can't tell you, there are so many games I love, so many good stories, and so many good characters. I can't express enough how much I love this industry and how much I am looking forward to talking about these topics as time goes on. But that's just a little bit about me and my gaming industry. So in this case, I want to actually talk about Square Enix and Final Fantasy VII. Is one of the things I'm actually looking forward to talking.
Right in.
Yeah, man,
so
just,
I love
seamless segues there.
I just want to talk a little bit about this. Chris and Jake, what do you guys feel about Final Fantasy VII? What are some of the things that you guys see that this game could potentially do in the future?
So, before we started the show, we talked a little bit about how we kind of, I mean, I guess it was maybe just me who didn't know that it was episodic. I apparently didn't know. I just apparently didn't know. So the fact that it is going to be episodic. We kind of, you could probably, if you've played the game before, you should know that it was 3 discs. So they're probably going to do 3 different episodes.
One of the things I will say that I'm actually looking forward to in Final Fantasy VII, I don't know how much you guys delve into it in the past here, but they are adding so much new content to Final Fantasy VII, and it's insane the amount of stuff they're adding and what they're adding. Have you guys actually heard about where the first game is roughly supposed to end?
It's supposed to be
ending in
Midgar. The end of Midgar where you fight the what is that thing called? The robot boss at the end of the highway.
It's a tank of some sort. I don't remember. It's been ages since I played.
It's supposed to be up until that point. So your party would consist of Cloud, Barrett, Aerith, Tifa, and Red.
No.
Reds? You get Red before you leave.
You do get Red.
You do, because he's inside of
You're right, because they're in the Shinra building.
Yep. So, you get them. You don't get anybody else. You don't get Vincent. You don't get Yuffie. You don't get Sid. You don't get anybody else. Or Kate Sith. So you get those people. Now, they did come out and say that they're going to basically expand on the Midgar arc. So there's going to be like what I think is going to happen. So I think 7th Heaven, which if you guys don't know what 7th Heaven is, you should probably go back and play Final Fantasy 7. I feel like that's going to be a hub for quests.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like you're going to walk in there and you're going to go up to probably Tifa for a little bit until she probably they put some random person anime girl in there.
Could be Marin.
Barrett's daughter. And you go up there and you just talk to her or him and you get quests and you go do these quests. Yeah. And I feel like personally feel like the game's gonna be really, really good. We kind of were talking about it a little bit. What does everybody think lengthwise? I'm thinking around 30 hours.
I'm thinking 40, 50.
Okay.
I think for an episodic thing, I think about 30 to 40 hours, I think I would be okay to go ahead and play Final Fantasy VII. My only concern with the Final Fantasy VII remake so far is the episodic thing. I wish they would drop their price a little bit. I'm actually a little disappointed that it's $60 for episodic, because at the time it's gonna accumulate to about $180, a little bit more after tax.
It's $150 in yen, if you wanted to know.
Yeah,
Just did some quick math there.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. I think that's one of my only downfalls for it. But I would like 30 to 40 hours. I will buy it regardless. I love Final Fantasy VII. I love Square Enix as a company as a whole. They're a fantastic and creative studio. So that's just one of my downsides that I see that I wish they would change a little bit. And if they're going to charge you that $60, I wish they would kind of give you something like maybe a steelbook case for the $60. And if you're just going to buy the base game, I would like them to do, just the game for $40.
So even though they're going to be adding a ton of new content, you would rather the game be $40?
If by itself, and the only reason I make that kind of statement is because of longtime fans of wanting Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they're adding a bunch of content, which is fine. It's still episodic. It's not just one complete game. I feel they could do more, or at least kind of, in a way, say thank you to the fans a little bit more at $60. Not saying that they're not, but
I think their way of saying that is saying, hey, we're remaking this game that you've been complaining about for 10 years.
I want to say here, as a longtime fan of Final Fantasy VII, I will buy this game regardless of what the price is. I am 100% justified as the fact that they are charging $60 for this, because you also have to think, most episodic games they create these days aren't anywhere near the level of game.
Well, they've never done something. Right. There's nothing outside of
Telltale games.
The Telltale games. So those are the only, and those are like $30, $40.
Like $20.
Some of them, yeah.
So the thing is that you're getting a game that's on the same level of Final Fantasy 15 for just one game for $60. I'm 100% on board with that. But now that I'm being promised not one but three of a same quality, if not better, game at same length of Final Fantasy 15 or more, I think $60 is 100% fair.
So so two questions. First one's very easy. Do we think they are going to release one a year?
That's hard to say.
I'd like to say yes.
Because do you think they're going to make us wait a decade to play the entire
story?
I wonder what happens after Aerith dies.
I think the max that we'll end up with is going to be 2 years. In between episodes. The only reason I say 2 years is because the graphics, the detail, the new content, everything that they have to update and bring. We only know about the first game right now, so we don't know how much additional content they have already made or what they have made.
I think
so.
No, go ahead.
I think honestly, I honestly think that they are 100% done.
That's what I was gonna say. By the time that FF7 R1 launches, the entire game is done.
Yes,
I think all they're going to do is, because at that time, so it's coming out on the PS4.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, because March PS4.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There's no way that the PS5 is coming. Yeah, after we kind of
could blow us out of the water.
Let's just say it's coming out in 2020. It's going to release for the PS4, and then they're going to just amp everything up for the PS5, and then everything else is going to be on the PS5.
Yep.
Or the new whatever the new Switch is and the new Xbox is. So if they can just complete the whole thing, they're just sitting there just like, all right, we just need to go back and just ramp it up a little bit, put it in an 8K. Okay,
because here's the thing, you already have to think about it. True, they are adding more backstory into these characters. First off, the story's already laid out in front of you. Everyone, if you're buying a Final Fantasy VII Remake, chances are you've already played Final Fantasy VII. You already know what happens.
But do you think they're going to add...
The story's already done.
Do you think they're going to add a lot of extra story stuff that we've never seen before?
Here's the thing, though. Yeah, I think they are, but it's not something we've ever seen before. Like I was saying a bit earlier between you guys before the podcast started, there's already a whole bunch of backstory already made for this game through side games in itself. These things, they're in Dirge of Cerberus, they touch on Vincent's past. In Crisis Core, they touch on
Cerberus takes place after 7.
Right, but they still they go through flashbacks into.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying from the beginning is, I think 2 years is the max that they will take.
Okay.
I don't personally either, but I think if needed, I feel like they would do that, not only to build anticipation if the first one does really well, which it sounds like it's going to. And on top of anticipation, they're going to try and make sure that this game is as best graphically, sound-wise, everything it can possibly be. So, do I think they'll take 2 years? No. But I think there is a possibility
that it can go 2
that
years.
it can go 2 years.
So,
if anything, I think here's the timetable I'm gonna take a crack at. We're gonna get it in March. Next year, we're gonna get it a year later. In 2021, we're gonna get part 2. 2023, we'll probably get part 3.
Okay.
Part 3 will probably take the longest.
Okay. So then my second question is, with this game being 3 parts,
Well, it could be 2. They haven't officially said that it's gonna be 3 parts.
we're just hypothetically saying 3
Right,
since there's
for
3
each
different
3 discs.
for each disc. So that's technically six discs. Actually, I think if it's on the PS5, it probably will be 1.
Probably will be.
So 4, which is a weird thing. So let's say they end up releasing 3 different versions or 3 different episodes for this game. They sell them all at $60, which for me it would be $70 because I'm going to buy the Steelbook edition. Every
Same.
single one. Now you would technically. This is where it gets weird because you would technically combine all 3 of those sales to be the one game.
See, I don't agree.
I know, I know you don't, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. But the fact is that the one thing that we can agree on is this next part, which is since they're going to do that, other game developers are going to look at this and go, "Wow, this one game that they split into 3 different games made the accumulation of this much money. We need to do that." And then I think they're going to do that, in my opinion. But I want your guys' opinion. If you think they're going to do that,
I disagree.
In what?
I'm with Jake on this also, and I will let Jake say what he has
seems
to
like a
say
normal
real quick.
thing between our friendship.
So-
Yeah. I disagree. Based on the fact is that I feel most companies are going to look at this and go, yeah, sure, that works for them. But given that there's already a large amount of backlash from the gaming community in itself, for every company, that all gamers everywhere are honestly feeling that they're getting gypped out of a lot of games because they feel like they're continuously releasing games that aren't finished based on the fact of DLC. So if you're purposely going to go through and make a game that's not already like Final Fantasy, because let's face it, not every game is on the same level of Square Enix and Final Fantasy. It's just not. That's a fact. You're gonna just piss off more of the community, given that because you're purposely releasing a game that's not finished by putting it into separate parts.
But they're still doing that though.
Well,
But they're not though, but they're not purposely going, oh, we're gonna give you part 1 now.
Correct, but I think actually a good
They're just
a good
releasing the game and giving you
no.
post DLC.
That's not what I was saying.
correct, but a good point in that is actually fighting games nowadays. Fighting games are notorious for DLC. They will give you a roster of 15 characters, and
Mortal Kombat.
You'll pay for DLC characters later on. Me as a gamer, a longtime gamer, as all of us are longtime gamers on CTJ, the big thing is we used to get games, we'd buy it for one price, we'd be able to play it, talk with our friends, sit down, couch co-op, which is another big thing that has disappeared. So with something going episodic, do I think it will take off? No, I do not. I feel some companies will try to use it and see how it pans out. But I feel at the end of the day, what will make companies more money will be DLC, and I feel like that's what these companies are going to stay with, whatever is going to make them more money in the long run. And Square Enix has the right style of game through the Final Fantasy franchise to be able to do something like this and to be able to split their game up into 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the case may be, and get away with something.
Right. So I do agree with that. My thing is I'm saying that I think they're still going to look at it, and I think there's going to be a developer that's going to try and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've already got people that are trying to do it, but they're just not doing it the right way.
Well, no, like doing it like so after this comes out. So like when Bungie did like DLC was not the same way before Bungie released Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. There was MMOs that did expansions.
Completely separate from what Destiny's doing. I'm agreeing with that. Yes.
Yeah. So for instance, Destiny 2 Forsaken, that is a completely new game, quote unquote, but takes place on the same game as Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And it's being sold with its own season pass and its own DLC. So my thing is that I think people, because no one's been able to do what Bungie did with that successfully, and even what Bungie's doing it wasn't successful because that's why them and Activision are no longer but the fact that when this game comes out, everyone's gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Somebody's going to try to do it, and it's not going to be successful.
I don't think someone's going to try, but
so another good bring up comparison, and it's a very far-fetched comparison, is Dragon Ball Kakarot.
Yes, very excited.
So Dragon Ball Kakarot though is only Dragon Ball. And up to Raditz. So it's I read you what Akira Toriyama said.
You're taking that out of context, but continue.
No.
I think you are, because think about it. The guy created it. Everything's just Dragon Ball to him.
Right, but like,
and it doesn't go just to Raditz. It goes all the way through Frieza.
That's right. That's what I meant. Frieza. So it's
so
just
that also includes Dragon Ball Z. Even if it was just Dragon Ball,
so
Raditz is still
but
Dragon
it's
Ball Z.
only one part of the whole
think
thing.
it is.
Like if they would have completed, so like, okay, so for instance, you're a big Dragon Ball Z fan too, right? So if they were to release a game that starts at Dragon Ball and goes to Dragon Ball Z, where they kill Boo, or Dragon Ball to where Namek blows up and they fight Frieza, which one are you going to like more?
Obviously, Boo.
Okay, so would you be okay with them going, hey, we're going to release this, but then we're going to charge you more money for the next 2 arcs? Instead of putting it in a $60 game.
Here's what I would rather see a company.
You wouldn't be
do.
mad?
I would be mad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here's something I would rather see a company do, and this is something I wish a lot of companies would take in consideration when it comes to stuff like this. Is I would rather pay $80 for a complete game. Give me the DLC. Give me everything, 100% complete, and I don't have to worry about any others. So once I buy this game, that's what I get. I know what I get. I know what I'm going into. I know how much this game is. As far as DLC, I understand why companies are doing it, but as far as your community and who you are treating these gamers with, they're the ones who are supporting your company to be able to make these franchises. So I feel you should be able to treat us the same way. Give us what we're purchasing. Give us the full content.
I agree.
Don't just make us pay $65 for a game. Oh, by the way, guys, if you want the rest of this game, it's another $45. Now I've already spent $100 and I'm $100 in, and if I don't feel for $100, I don't have to have this game live up to $65 hype. I need to have it live up to $100, which a lot of games this generation, I feel like, even in the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation, I feel did not have that type of potential. There are a lot of games that did, but I feel there are a lot of games that missed that mark.
I think it's really bad that, like, how long do you think that they've been making Final Fantasy 7 Remake?
Oh, easily a good.
They
announced it 3 years ago. 4 years ago.
Before Kingdom Hearts.
They were easily.
I'd say 8 to 10 years.
Before Final Fantasy 14 came out, do you think that they were working on 7?
Well, it depends on which 14 you're talking about. Are we talking about expansions for 14, or are we talking
A
about?
Realm Reborn.
No, they were not working on it.
You don't think so?
No.
I think
they were working on the same. When they announced Kingdom Hearts 3, they were already working on Final Fantasy 7.
So, like, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So it took them 6 years. Like,
roughly, we're still.
Yeah. So like, it took them 6 years to do this, and we don't get a full game. Now with Square, hey, look, it's gonna be amazing. We know that, so I'm not like super mad at that. But like, when you think of that type of idea and then you put it to another company, and like, let's say, we've been working on this game for years. It's like, if you're working on it for years, why are you charging me another $100 for DLC that comes out all 6 months later? Just charge me $100 up front. Charge me $80 up front. Just give me the entire thing. Stop making me wait. And I know why they do it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, and I will say one thing real quick. As far as games go and them, I feel it took 8 to 10 years. And I will say that because it took them, 14 years for Kingdom Hearts 3, roughly. So if it took them if it took
Don't roll your eyes at me.
If it took
I'm agreeing with you.
14,
okay.
If it took them 14 years to make Kingdom Hearts 3, and especially as far as Final Fantasy 7 goes, how gorgeous it looks, how great it sounds, and so much more, I can go on and on about it. I feel it didn't take just 6 years. I feel like there was a lot in development and a little bit longer than 6 years.
We should just get our Legend of Dragoon game.
Oh my god.
A remake.
We start on Legend of Dragoons.
But anyway, guys.
Next subject I really want to talk about is covering anime games in general, moving away from the whole Final Fantasy thing, because I'm sure we'll come back to that numerous times on numerous different podcasts until the game actually comes out.
Yeah.
I want to talk about why most anime games that come out. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen 90% of the anime games that come out are arena fighters or fighters nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
None of them have really, like the big ones I'm talking about, like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Bleach. I haven't seen any.
Black Clover has a game.
Black Clover does a game.
And it's a 3v3.
Yeah,
it's a 3v3 arena fighter.
There is actually
None of them are like standalone RPGs. There's only very little amounts of AAA animes that get their own action RPG.
There is one
spin-off.
game that comes to mind actually, and this is going back to Dragon Ball Z. They tried to do a little bit of a spin-off when they released Sagas for the PlayStation 2. When they did that, they did do kind of like the action adventure. Yes, there was still fighting, but I think that game was actually really, really good and a step in a good direction that really could have opened up Dragon Ball Z games for them. And the fact that they're trying this same kind of concept with a new Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I feel would do really, really good for them. So, and as far as you were saying with Black Clover games, but it is a 3v3, like same thing with Dragon Ball
I think
Fighters.
it's 3v3 or 4v4. It's one of those.
It's a team-based fighter.
Yeah, but I mean, like you were saying, Jake, with all these new games, you have Jump Force, which is a fighter. You have Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
The One Punch game that
One Punch Man.
World's Punch Man.
One Punch Man.
But
who
you
got announced yesterday. It's I think it plays exactly like
it's an arena
the
fighter.
My Hero fighting game. Is
Well,
what
that's
Jake was saying, right?
well.
It's
As
an
far
arena
as
fight,
as far as One Piece goes, they did just release a game which
Yeah.
was World Seeker.
World Seeker, yeah.
And
So that's like the first one, because I don't count Xenoverse, because Xenoverse is a
It's a fighter.
Mhm.
You know, like it's crazy fun because you get to make your own character and you get to play through the story. But it is a fighter. It is a fighter. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
There's little mini game stuff, but it's a fighter.
Now,
One Piece.
yeah,
Which you really like. It's like an actual it's an actual anime adventure game that has a different type of fighting mechanic. Do you think it plays a lot like the it's a weird comparison, but like the Ratchet and Clank type of games?
Yeah, as somebody who plays this game and has put a lot of hours into this game personally, it honestly it's a breath of fresh air for any anime game. I'm comparing this to any anime game at this point because there's just so many at this point that are all the same. To have a big named anime like One Piece get its own action adventure game is amazing. I spawn in as Luffy and I just run around wherever the hell I
Does it
want.
take place?
It takes place in its own island, its own arc after.
So it's like
a
the
certain
My
set
Hero
time.
movie. It's just it doesn't take place during.
It takes place after the 2-year time skip that they go through to get stronger. It takes place after that, so everyone's in their like time skipped form, which is just 2 years of training.
Okay.
So you got Luffy who's got his multiple gears that you can transform into his multiple different like gears, like gear 1, 2, 3, you know, and all that kind of good stuff. That was my computer, sorry.
You're good. Continue.
And then you've got stuff like just side quests for characters that you don't really even see anymore. New characters. They've got its own new story about a troubling island whose sister is now leading the rebellion and the brother is part of the Navy. So you've got that whole feuding family kind of situation going on. It's amazing to see an anime game that's not like sagas from the PS2 or way back even to the Legacy of Goku on the Game Boy Advance, which
That's a good game.
it was amazing, but
that's a good
it's
game.
so nice to see it come from that all the way to a completely open world One Piece game, which you very rarely see anyway, is amazing.
Now, there are a lot of anime games that I personally enjoy, and one actually that I really, really did enjoy. I don't believe it has an anime series, and I apologize in advance if it does not, but it's called Anima. And the cool thing about Anima that I really, really like is I think it's very difficult. It's not an easy game, but I feel it does a very good job at what these anime games could potentially do
What kind
and
of
where
game
they
is
could
it?
progress.
It's an action.
It's an action adventure game.
It's on the PlayStation Store.
Correct. And you can also, even coincidentally, I'm not sure how many people, if you guys are just getting into gaming now, it is actually available on Nintendo Switch as well. So that's something you guys can also play.
Thomas is sponsored by.
So, yeah. But the cool thing with that game, like I said, is going forward, if they take those small baby steps, like Jake was just saying with World Seeker, and like I was saying with Anima and Dragon Ball Sagas, I feel like we could eventually get a game to where everybody will be happy and it'll become a AAA title, open world action adventure type game versus just these fighting AAA games. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but it's always good to try something new.
So do you think so? The big one is Bandai. It's most shonen animes when they get turned into games are from Bandai, right?
Yes.
Almost every single one of them.
Almost all of them.
So, why does Bandai think we continue to want fighting games?
There has to be. They sell.
Yeah, that's plain and simple. They make money on it.
And how many times have you seen an anime, you loved it, and the second they announced a game for you, you probably thought the first thought in your head was, "I'm gonna buy that game."
So one of the games, my anime game, because yours was One Piece, yours was Anima, was the Attack on Titan games 1 and 2. Those are action adventure games set in the Attack on Titan world, and though I think it's made by Bandai.
Pretty sure.
I may be wrong. I think it's made by Bandai. The fact that those games are action adventure, Sword Art Online, which is not a Shonen Jump game.
No,
it's not.
No, it's made by Cryware.
Okay. The Sword Art Online games very good. I have a feeling that somebody's going to make a Rising of the Shield Hero game.
Yes.
Which would be phenomenal. But these games, I feel like if the story is based on adventure, they're making an adventure game. If the story is based on pure fighting, they make them in the fighting games.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Now, I do have a question.
Yes, it does, but it's why not give me... if you gave me a My Hero game, where a Xenoverse, My Hero game, where I get to create my own student, and I get to play through, it could be an MMO.
Yeah, no,
I would prefer it to be more like Xenoverse, just My Hero.
Well, I would too, but then,
I wouldn't. I've been burned by MMOs before.
I would love to play as Deku in World Seeker game.
Yeah.
So here's the one thing. If you were going to take My Hero Academia, now the number one thing when I think of that anime and what type of game I want to turn that into, it's going to be fighting.
Villain.
That's gonna be the first thing I would personally think of when making something like that. Now, if you're going to go to My Shield Hero, Hero? I feel like that would be...
It's Rising of the Shield Hero. You better give that man his respect.
Sorry. Either way, sorry for the...
How dare you disrespect the Shield Hero like that?
The cool thing about that is it's an RPG in an actual anime, and I think that's unique and it's different that they're doing something like that. But the cool thing is what would that transition to a game well? Since now
you would be an adventure game.
100%. As someone who's played all of the Sword Art Online games on the PlayStation and the PSP, I 100%
I played the Gun Gale one.
Yeah, I would 100%.
It's called
agree.
Fatal Bullet.
Yeah,
that one's good.
I would 100% agree to the fact that it would transfer quite well because the Sword Art Online games, essentially, they play just how you think they would play if it was a video.
Really good. The fourth one just came out. Third one.
It's coming out. It's not
third
out
one,
yet.
right? No, fourth one.
Yeah, fourth.
Yeah, fourth. That's right. Because the third one was Fatal Bullet.
Yes.
So we're kind of all in agreement that they need to do something different with the anime games.
Yeah.
Black Clover.
Well, the AAA.
Yeah, anything that is Shonen Jump should probably be.
I think they're moving in the right direction with Dragon Ball Kakarot, moving away from it being just solely a fighting game, to where the only form of combat you're going to see is fighting because that's what Dragon Ball is.
Could you imagine flying around as All Might?
Well, I feel like one of the cool things though is
he jumps and propels himself with buns of steel.
That's fine.
I feel like one of the things that these companies really need to do that I've noticed a lot of companies, more so than not, don't like to take chances or risk. And as a company, I wouldn't either. But I feel like, and for example, we were talking about Dragon Ball Z, and when it came to fighting games, and they're taking a chance with Kakarot. Now, if the sales don't add up to what a fighting game is, they're going to go back to that fighting game franchise where they're going to make the money and it's guaranteed. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong of them to do, because from a business standpoint, that's awesome. But at the same time, if they don't take that risk and try to make these games and try to make RPGs, we'll never see it and they'll never know.
True.
Because we will never get the chance or opportunity to play what they could potentially create.
I agree.
So
I agree. But then to counterpoint that argument is that I also think that if Chris is right, they're Bandai. They even if they create a game, like if I'm being 100% honest with you, My Hero Academia game they came out with wasn't the greatest. I mean, I enjoyed it for.
We both pre-ordered it.
Right, we both pre-ordered. We both got it. It was fun for a while, and then I whooped Chris into tomorrow, and then we got bored with it, and then
the fighting system is really bad.
It's I don't think it is. It's just it's a very monotonous and very repetitive game.
There's no. It's not very fun.
But even still, it was My Hero, and because I enjoyed the anime My Hero, I bought it instantly without a second thought. So I think even though they are Bandai, they're still going to get sales regardless of what kind of game they put out.
This is the company who, now I know it's not From Software. I know it's not, but Bandai ships the games. You would think of Bandai would be like, hey, how do you guys make your Dark Souls game so good? Could you imagine just putting like Dark Souls story in Dragon Ball? Making it that level
of... lose. It'd be Goku wins all the time.
You just like the level of difficulty, but yeah, I mean, I digress.
Yeah, after talking about all the anime and different games and all the things that could potentially become, one of the things I would actually like to talk about is how about Santa Monica Studios and as well as Blizzard making Diablo 4 and Santa Monica making God of War 2. I will tell you, I am excited for both of those games. What do you guys think? I got honestly to say, if I had to pick one of the two, it would be Diablo 4. And the reason I say that is because I put a lot of time, a lot of hours into Diablo, and I can't even tell you how many people I have gotten to start playing, and they just can't seem to put that controller down.
I am obsessed with both God of War and Diablo 4. I can't tell you how many times I've put into... I've put so many hours into Diablo 3, it's kind of sad at this point. And God knows I've put way too much time into God of War. I even went along and did the whole Infinity Gauntlet whole deal in God of War. That was that whole thing. That was pretty cool. I mean, I'm just so psyched that both of these companies are now listening to their gamers and are making sequels, especially Blizzard, because we all know how that went down last time they announced something.
You didn't like the mobile game announcement?
Blizzard?
We don't like mobile games. Thank you.
So you're both on board with Diablo, then?
Oh, 100%.
100%. Cool. I'm glad I get to play the devil's advocate here. I'm not excited for Diablo 4.
That doesn't surprise me, Chris.
I'm legit not excited for Diablo 4. So, I was a big LOD fan. Lord of Destruction, Diablo 2. That was my shit. Diablo 1, still a very, very good game.
Agreed.
I would much rather play Path of Exile than play anything else that is Diablo related, and here's why. Diablo 3 sucked, in my opinion. Yes. So, you compare... So, if you compare... What are you doing? Oh, I see, okay. So, here's why, in my opinion. I'm comparing... Okay, I get it. You guys don't like that. So... Diablo 3 is way easier than Diablo 2. It's a million times easier. You don't have to, there's no health mana pot system. You pick up orbs after you kill random enemies. It's made to be fun, and it's made to draw people in to play a 4v4, a 4-person co-op game, which I really like. I love that. I love the fact that it's on handheld Switch. I love the fact that it's on normal consoles. I love that stuff. The story, didn't really care for it too much. I thought it was okay. Especially comparing it to how good... Did you play Lord of Destruction?
Chris,
no, okay. Have you played Lord of Destruction?
Yes.
Okay.
Lord
of Destruction is the best rendition, it is the best act ever in Diablo.
So I gotta
disagree.
Yeah, I have to just...
I love 3. 3 was great.
No.
Yeah, 3 was fantastic, and I have a couple different reasons why, other than just...
Let me finish my point. As to why God of War is going to be better.
We'll give him a chance.
So Blizzard...
hang on, you're comparing apples to oranges here now.
Yeah,
Hang on.
yeah.
You can't say God of War is better than Diablo 4.
No, but like the whole part of this is like which one you're more excited about. You're more excited about Diablo. No, you got to pick one. You said Diablo.
I choose neither. I pick both.
You have to pick one. It's part
I
of the...
I love both games.
Okay.
You can't expect me to choose between both of my children.
No, which one you're more excited about though?
Both.
Oh,
I'm equally excited about
You
the
said
next
Diablo.
God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm more excited about God of War. Santa Monica did a great job remaking the God of War series.
I didn't think they remade it. I think they just added on.
No, they said it is a soft reboot of the God of War series.
Oh, it's a soft reboot, not a remake. It's very different.
Okay, so they did a soft reboot of this game. They still kept all the story elements. They just put Kratos instead of putting them in
the better mythology.
You put them in a different one. How God of War ended with the whole seeing Thor's hammer and them knowing that Odin is basically fucking everything up, just like Zeus did. So it's I'm really excited to play this continuation of this really awesome story in a very very unique game style, much more than I am of playing a loot box infested Diablo 4, because it is going to. Can't.
Not gonna have
100%.
No.
100. That's what's wrong with Overwatch. That is what they kind of put into the new World of Warcraft, which is why everyone's playing vanilla, because vanilla is way better than Battle of Azeroth. Like, everyone likes vanilla more than they like the new iteration of Warcraft. Blizzard, Blizzard doesn't really care what we're thinking about, because they were more excited about a mobile game. Who doesn't? For all we know, Diablo 4 could be a mobile game.
I swear to God.
So the fact is, I'm waiting until I see anything about Diablo. Just going off the rim of saying which one, if both of them are coming out, I'm going, okay, off of what they did with their last project, Santa Monica is going to be way better, in my opinion. With Diablo, I'm waiting to see some content, because if it's not good, I'll go buy Path of Exile. Have you seen Path of Exile? Literally Diablo 2, but harder, and with that type of atmosphere. I'm like, I would much rather play that.
I have Path of Exiles.
So it's, to me, oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was free on the PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. Oh, yes, right. You have PlayStation. So that's what my opinion. I think I'm excited to see if Diablo 4 is going to be good, but I'm not like hyped up about it. I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to play Diablo 4. I would much rather play a new God of War, in my opinion.
I can understand your point on why, but I still strongly disagree with you. I think Diablo 4 will take what they already have and they will enhance on some of these measures. One of the things about Diablo 4 that I'm most excited for that they did in Diablo 3 is they added in the Whimsy Shire, which I thought was really funny and a really nice, fun treat. Instead of doing that basic grinding and doing that same thing over and over again, even after the game, it gives you some reason to keep playing and keep going after things and finding rare items. And as soon as you unlock it, it's just fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. And one of the things I think in Diablo 4 that I'd like to see is what they will come up with in the new generation of Diablo. And hopefully they don't lose their sense of humor like that. And hopefully they keep that type
I'll
of
tell you
thing.
what. If they make, so I'm gonna put this out right now. I'm probably the first person who's ever gonna say this.
And the last.
No. I think Blizzard. I think there's two different games that they're gonna be coming out with that we're gonna see. One's gonna be coming out this year. So they're going to create an auto chess game. 100%. Do you want to bet me money on it?
Sure.
Okay. Because they made a MOBA. Here's the Storm. They, with Overwatch, made their esport title. Hearthstone made the card game. They're going to make an auto chess game.
I don't think they will.
I'll show. I'm going to send you a picture of it when it comes out.
Prove me wrong. I'll be delighted to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
think Diablo. I don't think Diablo 4 is going to be top-down dungeon crawling.
I think it is.
I think it's going to be.
Why would they change the game-winning algorithm? A game-winning layout.
Because they think mobile games are more important.
They don't.
Here's.
I think
I
that-
disagree. Hold on. I disagree.
No.
Let's take a second and talk about the mobile game of Diablo here for a second. I am actually signed up to go ahead and give that game a try when they finally do release that mobile game. However, do I feel like the mobile game is going to be complete trash? No, but I do not believe that it will lead up to the expectations that PC, the Switch, PlayStation 4, and all those guys. So I believe it'll still be hopefully a decent game, but at the same time, I do believe in the mobile version there will be a lot of microtransactions versus in the actual console versions and even PC. I believe they had something which was the
Auction house.
correct. And with that being said, you can put money in the game if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. So I believe right there is going to kind of be a big
remember
difference.
when the auction house first came out,
There was a lot of discrepancy. with
you
that.
could buy in-game stuff with real money.
Right, you could.
So then they just changed it to you can only put money into the game, microtransaction-wise, and then buy stuff. I think Diablo 4 is going to be littered with customization stuff, kind of like every other game is now, where they're going to just do, it's just going to be loot box, they're going to do that kind of thing. That's just my opinion. I'll stand on that ledge. I think they're going to do loot box, like a loot box style in that game, unless the government passes this thing where they're not allowing people to sell loot boxes. So,
And I think, I'm not saying you're wrong, but in a case like that, I believe there are certain companies that can get away with certain things where others can't. Like we were talking earlier, Final Fantasy VII, Square Enix can get away with the episodic thing a lot easier than some other games. I feel, in this case, Blizzard can get away with kind of that grindy, pick up loot, upgrade your armor kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I believe they'll have an easier time, versus, let's say, Square Enix.
they're going to do it, and people are going to bitch about it, and people are going to be bitching as they're putting their credit card information in.
Here's what I think is going to happen though. If they're going to make any form of loot box or microtransaction for a game like Diablo, it will not matter any point to the gameplay. If they're going to add any form of loot box, it's
Better
going
hope
to be
so.
purely cosmetic.
You better hope so.
It's going to be purely cosmetic. Look what they did with Overwatch.
Yeah.
They have loot boxes in Overwatch. Guess what? Purely cosmetic.
But there's
Has
no
0 point to the game.
But there's nothing that they could buy in the game to change the game. Because you don't buy weapons, you don't upgrade weapons. You only
So that's what I'm saying.
buy
If
a
they're going
skin.
to do
But
anything
in
for Diablo, it's going to be
but in
purely
Diablo-
cosmetic, which
but
is no problem.
But in Diablo, there's you're constantly upgrading and getting new weapons.
They won't do that because
but-
at that point,
hold
Well,
on.
we
what's the point
hope.
playing the
We
game?
hope. We
Well,
hope.
here's also one thing.
We hope
not to interrupt you guys in the conversation you guys get going, but they did eliminate the auction house, and in my opinion, what they did by eliminating the auction house, they brought in seasons.
I don't think
And when they brought in seasons, I feel seasons is going to be.
It was great.
Yes, and I feel
It was very good.
Yes, and they're still doing that, and I feel that is going to kind of take place of the auction house. If they do bring the auction house back, I believe that will kind of only be a PC thing.
No.
I don't believe they will bring that to console. And here,
unless it's cross.
well, here's the only reason I say if they're going to do that and bring it to PC only. A lot of your younger generation play on consoles. They don't start off with a PC. They eventually grow into PC. So, and I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm not saying that's always the case. I could be very, very wrong. But however, if they do that, I feel you'd have more luck putting it strictly on PC as far as the auction house only, and then bringing the seasons to consoles and still giving PC the option with the seasons if they wanted. But I feel their success would mostly be on PC versus
I don't
console
think
on
they
that
wanted to get rid of the auction house. Is my big gripe. I think they wanted it.
They
there.
do,
And then
and I agree with you.
And then people found a way. We humans found a way to screw it up and monetize it. And then once people they're like there was I knew somebody who worked at the GameStop where I lived originally where I got my game. He worked there. He told me, he's like, yeah, I've been making more money on Diablo 3 than I make on my paycheck at GameStop. And he was a manager. He was selling in-game items. That's how he's paying his bills. And I'm like, dude, that's amazing. And then when they got rid of it, I'm like, that makes sense. So I think they're going to bring it back. And I think it's going to have microtransactions is how you're going to get it. Like you can use real money to buy tickets or something to go into the auction house. So, but I didn't mean to make that a huge topic.
Oh, it's become a huge topic. I don't think it's going to happen.
So I didn't make it.
If it is going to happen, I think it's going to be purely cosmetic items.
Okay, so we will find out. Probably BlizzCon hasn't happened this year, so we'll probably find out more at BlizzCon. All right, so that brings us to our our last two topics. They kind of go in the same.
Yeah.
Is some more news about the Stadia device, console streaming thing, and digital versus physical. So with Stadia, I got some more information. Thomas, I know you weren't here. You did watch E3 though, with the whole Stadia thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we know that Stadia is $129.99, which I don't think is bad for a system. It is $15 a month, however. That's where the big thing is going to get you. Supposedly, you can play games. You can play unlimited of any game that's on there. Any game that is on there.
Anything that has Google Chrome, I believe, it can play on.
Yeah, you can play it on PC. You can play it
on a tablet. You can play it on your smartphone.
There's certain games you can play on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
The Founders Edition comes with a blue, I'm assuming like a day one type of controller device, Founders badge, Buddy Pass, which is probably like the Game Pass thing. And Stadia Pro also is going to be 60 FPS, 4K streaming. Standard Stadia membership is going to be 60 FPS and 1080p. So, I mean, a pretty big difference there. And most people should have a 4K TV by now. So, with this, we kind of talked about this a little bit before the podcast. So, you're going to be able to play new games when they come out. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good and bad thing. And you can, Thomas, you can kind of elaborate on this. And I'm sure, Jake, you have a few opinions on this. I think it's good. Because it is giving people who don't want to buy $60 games a chance to play them. You can play the new Madden, the new NBA, because they're always the same every year. And people don't like spending $60 on it, yet they do it anyways. This is going to get them a way to play that if they license it through that company. That's the only big thing here, which I'm sure they will. I'm sure Google will throw money at everybody. So you have that. They can, play, new games that come out before they want to go and spend $60 on them. So it could help them make the purchase. It could help them not make the purchase. But I think it's bad overall because the three of us, we are pro disc players. We like having physical games. We all buy, very expensive editions to get the collectible stuff and them steelbooks included. So we like getting that kind of stuff. Give me your opinion on the Stadia system, what you think, and what do you think the success of this, because it will be successful. It will be. It's got Google behind it. This is what people want, is having a streaming device that they can just play games like it's Netflix or Hulu. So how do you think that's going to affect us and everyone else who plays physical games?
A couple things, honestly. And when it comes to the Google Stadia, like I have said to a couple people before, I have only a couple problems with it. One being, when I'm playing a game, I want to be able to sit there and play a game for however long I want to, like 3, 4, 5 hours, maybe even an hour, waiting on somebody. With the Stadia device and streaming, not everybody has the greatest internet or the greatest wireless, and depending on even the area that you live in. Mm-hmm. So if I want to go ahead and play a game, for, like I said, about an hour before I have to go somewhere or I have to be somewhere, I feel like I can't necessarily do that depending on my internet speed and streaming with the Google Stadia. I feel like that makes it very tough to go ahead and play. Just pick up and play, I guess what I'm saying as far as that goes. And as far as the games go, that's great that they have an awesome library. I have nothing against it. That's fantastic. But if it is like Netflix or Hulu, then what is going to happen in the case of, okay, I'm 2 days in to playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and they take the game off. Now I can't finish that game I played. Now I'm kind of forced to go ahead and buy the game when I don't have any money, but I'm paying $15 a month to be able to access this giant library of games. Mm-hmm. However, I think the fact that some good notes on it, you can be able to game anything that has Google on it. You can, say, hey, you know what? I'm at a friend's house. I want to be able to show them this great new game. I could just go ahead and pull it up and try and stream as long as, within the Wi-Fi range. I think that's a cool idea. And like you were saying before, a couple things about it, I think that's also a nice thing. But I do believe it will hurt the physical market, which upsets me.
Now, I do have a bit of a solution. I don't know if they're thinking about doing this. Seeing as how it's connecting to these multiple different platforms, Mm-hmm. If they decide that they want to have it be like one singular thing that just transmits data to, say, your phone, your tablet, your TV, your computer, kind of like Apple TV does. Mm-hmm. If they want to do that, the only way I could possibly think about doing it is that it would be smart for them if they were to just put in a form of
save data kind of system, to where it's like, oh, you're paying $15 a month to have all these games on here, and you can have a select amount of games that you keep regardless of whether or not that they remove from this streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
And say when you're done with it, you remove it, and then it's gone. Yeah, then, but you can keep it for however long you want, kind of like GameFly does, but streaming. And then through the streaming, there's like a USB that you plug into the TV, or there's like a thing you plug into the controller that holds the save data, kind of like a external storage device that saves your data, because that would make sense. Or and it makes, like you were saying a bit earlier before the podcast about the load times. Like, I don't want to have to load 2 hours to play Red Dead. Every time I want to play it, I want to have to keep waiting 2 hours to play the game. Mm-hmm. So if I can just load all of it into the external save device and then have it right then and there, ready and accessible for me to go, that would be amazing. But from what I'm hearing right now, there seems to be a lot of flaws, and from what you were saying is that it will be successful because it's got Google behind it. I think that there still is a large room a large margin for this system to fail.
100%. I think
there's still a very large margin.
I think it could fail. I think there's a chance of it failing. I just personally think that overall it will do well. Reason why, I think, so the new PlayStation and the new Xbox, Xbox already said that they're not making a completely streamable Xbox Project Scarlet, whatever the heck it's going to be called. It's going to be one system that you're able to stream games on, just like you could on the Xbox One. So they're behind on the curve, technically. PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox are all making next-gen systems, because, the Switch kind of is. They're going to make new variations of it. But games where you have to either download the game, or you have to put a game in to play it still. So if Stadia is jumping out and they start doing this, and let's say the first rendition of it fails, they have 3 or 4 years, 5 years until PlayStation or Xbox even comes up with an idea to sell a fully streamable system. Because I'm sure you saw the Project Cloud X, the fully streamable Xbox One S. It's basically an Xbox One S without a hard drive. And without a disk drive in it. That's literally what it is.
Right.
That system's not going to do super well. It's $200. Oh, cool. But it's like, oh wait, I can't play physical games, because there's a lot of people who still play physical games.
Yeah. It's the aspect of seeing all the cases on the shelf.
Yeah. So now though, but if Google has the expectation of being a new console. Stop looking at my keyblades. A new console that is coming from a new game, someone who's new into the console universe. I don't really count mobile phones so much as that, because they've been making games. So to compete with Nintendo, PlayStation, or Sony and Microsoft to make one of these consoles. So they're coming in with the aspect of this is an only streamable device. Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo have always been physical markets.
Right.
So they're transitioning into this market while Google is starting the precedent with making the streaming device first. So they can kind of control the market a little bit, because if this ends up being really, really good, what's Sony's next move? Making an X or a circle or a triangle. You can put it on your you can smack it to your TV like a Post-it note, and then it turns on and you have all these PlayStation games on it. So actually
to
does.
be honest
I would
with you, there's a couple things I have
my
with it.
dog.
There's as far as streaming goes, I don't think Xbox will fail if they decide to do just a digital system, or even just physical, or a combination of both. And that's the same thing with PlayStation and Nintendo, but I believe Nintendo and PlayStation or Sony are both sitting in that kind of comfort zone to where they will release just digital games but also give you physical copies. And the one thing that I will say that where Sony and Nintendo are kind of benefiting is with companies like Limited Run Games and Super Rare Games that are releasing these hard copies of games that you can normally only get physical, like Thimbleweed Park or Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. Stuff like this you can normally were only able to get digitally, but now these companies have given you the opportunity, hey, we'll make this collector's edition or we'll make this game physical so that way you can have it in your collection. And I believe, my personal opinion when it comes to Microsoft, what's really hurting them is lack of exclusives. They're running with the same ones. They're running with Halo, Gears of War, things. They've tried with Sea of Thieves. They've tried with...
Yeah, we talked about that a lot on the...
Yeah,
Sunset
they
Overdrive.
don't have those exclusives anymore.
Yeah,
Because they're going to PC.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of the big things that's really hurting Microsoft is because of that. Now, keep in mind, do I feel Xbox can do so much more? I do. I believe that company has a lot of talent and has a lot of potential. Just this past generation, I don't know what actually happened to that company. I don't know why. They just seemed to drop a ball, and they kind of, I don't want to say necessarily give up, but it almost kind of feels that way. And it's a shame for a company so young and so talented in the gaming market to have something like that happen. But I feel if Xbox could get their hands on like limited run games or super rare games, I feel like they would potentially start picking up a little bit more.
Do you think they'll make physical editions of those games, or do you think they're just going to be digital?
As far as Microsoft goes, or you talking?
Yeah. I think they're all going to be digital releases.
I agree with you. I think as far as Microsoft goes, I believe you're right. I believe it'll be completely digital. However, if they can, like I said, get their hands on limited run games or super rare games as well as like Nintendo and PlayStation do, if you want the game here and now, you can just buy the digital code, and if you want a physical copy, you can go through super rare or limited run games and you can get that hard copy. So there's kind of like that happy medium to where all gamers will kind of be happy. So the Google Stadia, let's say for example, they decided, we're just going to do strictly digital, which they have as streaming, but limited run games and super rare are going to make a hard copy of this game, so that still gives you that option to go ahead and buy that physical copy if you want it.
Right. Well, that is, I guess, our cue to stop the podcast. Thank you, Kobe. Appreciate it. Our mascot dog.
Yes.
So, pretty good podcast, I would say, guys. Right?
Agreed.
Good first episode with Thomas.
Indubitably.
Very good. So, thank you guys for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. The podcast should be up on iTunes and Spotify as well. Soon, I'm going to try to make that happen for us so we can have that on there. And pretty soon, we will be doing actual videos that are not just audiobooks. So that way we can, have some more personality in the videos, do some more editing, and also do some fun reviews and reactions and other type of gameplay stuff as well. Any last words from anybody?
Tacos are the world saviors.
I gotta
A little
agree.
bit of tidbit.
You always have very good foods for thought
I
afterwards.
do, and mainly because I'm hungry after all of this.
Anything, Thomas?
I just want to say thanks for having me on the podcast, guys, and thanks for listening.
I mean, thank you for having the podcast. You helped create the podcast.
I did, but I
part
just-
of your love child.
Right, but I do want to say at the same time, one of the cool things about actually being on this is actually one of the things I've always wanted to do. Even when I was younger, playing video games, I thought it would always be awesome to, talk about video games, upcoming games, and even, discuss, video game problems within the industry. And now that we have a chance, I gotta say, it's one of the best experiences.
Awesome. Well,
So-
we'll be back in a few weeks, hopefully, with another episode. And hopefully. And until then, you guys have a good few weeks. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a good ending?
Yeah.
All right. We'll cut it right there.
Good ending? Yeah, we'll cut it right there.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.